Hello and welcome back to the Embracing Your Powers podcast. It has been such a long time since I've recorded. There have been videos going out on the channel, but those have been recorded in March or sooner than that. I don't even remember when all those videos were recorded. So even though I've had content going out, I haven't recorded in forever because if you can't tell, I've been sick, which is why there wasn't a podcast episode last week because I was literally asleep for like 2.5 days. Because I was so sick and I still haven't fully gotten rid of the cough and the cold and all of that, but I am feeling a little bit better enough to record. And so for today's episode, we are going to be talking about how you know when it's time to pivot your business. And obviously this is something that is super close to my heart right now and it's on my mind because it's something that I am currently going through. And with that came a lot of mindset challenges. There was a big thought process for it. There was a lot of challenges that I had to go through in order to start deciding to switch my niche and kind of go into left field a little bit. And it has been a really tough decision, but in the end, I know it's the right one. And this isn't something that I just thought about one day and then did the next day. There was a lot of procrastinating. There was a lot of thought that went into it. So if this is something that you are going through or you're thinking about going through right now, I want to kind of give you my perspective on it and pull from my experiences to hopefully help you figure out if this is the best decision for you, because changing your niche is definitely not an easy one, but it might benefit you in the end. So let's talk about it. If this is something that you're considering and you're like, what the heck do I do? You have absolutely nowhere to start. The first thing that I would say, you need to look at the bigger picture and think, where do I want my business to go long term? Is this topic that you're currently talking about, is this niche something that you are happy with and something that you are gonna be happy with moving forward in the future? Are you okay with having yourself in this niche or this box for a very long time? And I used to think that you needed to niche down and you needed to just have one specific topic that you're talking about. But recently, that doesn't fit me anymore. I don't want that to be the case anymore. I don't feel like it's necessary. For some people, that might work. But for me, it's just not going to work for me anymore because I have a lot of passions and I want to be able to talk about all those passions. And maybe you relate to this as well, where you feel like you're boxed in because of a niche. So what I'm doing instead is I'm looking at a person. I'm not looking at a niche. I'm not looking at one specific interest. I'm looking at a type of person that I want to reach and say, what type of topics would they be interested in? And the best type of person for me personally to reach is the person that I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or even yesterday. And this might be something that'll help you determining your niche or determining if you want to switch. You can stop thinking about it as one specific topic because let's say you talk about beginner blogging tips like I did. Eventually, your tips are not going to reach that audience that originally subscribed to you or read your blog post. Like if you talk about beginner gardening tips and that's all that you talk about, eventually your readers are no longer going to be beginner gardeners. And so then do you switch to more advanced tips, or maybe your audience is going to get bored with whatever topic it is you're talking about and they're going to move on because they want to learn about other things because just like you, they have multiple interests. And this is something that I've been really thinking about. I even went to a webinar on this recently called Ditch Your Niche by Erin On Demand. It was amazing. And she talked about the concept of layering, having different layers in your business as opposed to a niche. So for example, the layers that I came up with for myself was like building a life that you love, and then mindset. And then above that was business. And then above that was manifestation. And then above that was being into your truest self. And essentially you start with a big layer at the bottom, and that is what all of your content is surrounded by. It's almost like your niche, but it's more of a feeling or a thing as opposed to a topic. So living the life that you love or creating the life that you love, that is what all of my content is centered around. And then above that, I talk about mindset, personal development, different things like that. And then above that, I'll be talking about business, which is like what I'll be doing on this podcast. And then above that, we'll incorporate a little bit of mindset. And then above that, in a little tiny box up above, we'll be talking about just being your truest self and any other topics that I find interesting. If I want to share it, I'm going to share it. And that was something that was really helpful for me as opposed to thinking about myself as only somebody who was a content creator that talked about content creation. Hopefully that makes sense. These podcasts are very rambly. They're going to be very repeated. I don't have a script for them. Like I have a little bit of a thing on my computer here that I want to talk about, but for the most part, I'm kind of just rambling. So hopefully this stuff makes sense. but you just want to look at the bigger overall picture. Going back to that, like, is this something that is going to make your business happy in the long run? Do you want to be talking about this topic for the rest of your career almost? Because that's essentially what you would be doing. And the biggest thing here to think about is your overall happiness, because the point of content creation and starting a business and doing all of this stuff is that you are happy. And that's really what I'm learning throughout this journey of figuring out what the heck I want to do, is my overall happiness matters more than anything else. If I'm not happy with the content that I am creating, then it doesn't really matter. My thinking is, if I wanted to be unhappy, I would just go find a 9-to-5 job where the paycheck was the exact same and I wasn't worried about where my next paycheck was going to come from. Because when you start a business, you don't really know where your next paycheck is going to come from. A lot of times, you don't know when you are going to get paid next. So you might as well do something that makes you happy, because if you didn't want to be happy, you would go back to a 9-to-5 job, or maybe you're in a 9-to-5 job right now, you would stay in that 9-to-5 job and get a consistent paycheck so you at least know that you are going to be covered for the month, as opposed to jumping into entrepreneurship, also being unhappy and also not knowing if you're going to be able to afford your rent that month. Does that make sense? Like, your overall happiness matters the most. If you're going to do something this crazy, you need to be happy with whatever it is that you're doing. And if you're not happy with the topic or the niche that you've chosen, you are allowed to change that, because this is your business. At the end of the day, the views don't matter, the likes don't matter, the people on the other end of the lens or the computer don't matter if you are not happy. Because if you change your niche, you are going to find somebody else. If, like, the people that you have right now in your community are interested in one thing, but they're not interested in another. If you decide to switch your niche, there are going to be other people that are interested in that thing. There's always going to be people coming in and out of your business. Views are kind of limitless. People are going to have a bunch of different interests. So you're going to just attract different people. So I don't want you to think, well, I have an audience now, I have to cater to that audience and I can't switch and deviate off the path, because that was kind of my mentality. But then I realized that people are unsubscribing from my YouTube channel every single day. So if they are unsubscribing from the content that I'm creating now that I don't enjoy, it's going to be okay if they unsubscribe from the content that I do enjoy, because I'm going to end up finding people that do also enjoy that content. So the bottom line is, if you are not even happy or excited to create the content that you're creating, and instead it feels like a chore, then you know you're in the wrong niche. And that's okay. If you realize that, oh crap, I chose the wrong niche, I've dug myself into a hole and I no longer want to be in this niche anymore. One of the big things for me was worrying about disappointing my audience. But then I realized that, honestly, let's be real here, most people on the internet don't actually care about you. Like, sure, there's going to be some people that care about you, and that's going to be your core audience that's going to follow you no matter what. But the majority of people on the internet, they're going to not even notice that you've changed your niche. Because when I changed my niche, I expected there to be a mass unsubscribe. So far, that hasn't happened. In fact, my subscribers have still grown at the exact same amount that they were growing before, without any problems. People sure have unsubscribed, but people have also decided to subscribe for the content that I'm creating now. So, like, it's okay, because like I said, you're going to find other people that are interested in what topic you decide to move to. But my big thing was that I was going to disappoint people in my audience, because for me, I want to serve people. And if you're in the content creation business, chances are you are going to be like the same way. So we want to serve people up with our content and keep them happy. But if you are not happy yourself, then it's going to feel forced. It's not going to be your authentic truth. It's just not going to be good for you in the long run, because you're eventually going to get burned out and probably likely going to stop. And I know that I definitely hit multiple walls within my business where I didn't know where else to go. I didn't really know where else to turn, because while I was growing, I wasn't really caring about that growth, because it wasn't really topics that I was super aligned with. Because the thing here to consider is, you're never going to make everyone happy. So the first person you need to worry about is yourself, and then your tribe will kind of find you from there. So once you have the bigger picture figured out and you decide, okay, it's time to change my niche, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway, the next thing you need to worry about is, what niche do you want to go into next? Or what direction do you want to take your business into next? Because if you're like me, you don't want to jump from one box to the next box. And that's really what I wanted to avoid, because I felt like I dug myself into a hole with the content creation niche. It's something that I still enjoy. It's something that I still want to create content in, but I definitely pigeonholed myself into being only about Pinterest marketing, which is something that I never enjoyed ever. I never enjoyed it. It was not something I ever wanted to do, but I was just following the views. And I'm glad that I did that in the sense that it grew my channel and it grew my confidence and it made me a better content creator because I was able to consistently create content. But at the end of the day, I got burned out and didn't know where to turn to next. And I didn't want to then jump from this box to this box. And I wanted to have myself open up to more topics and be in the lifestyle niche, which, I mean, like, there isn't really a lifestyle niche because like that's way too broad, but essentially you can call myself a lifestyle niche. And so maybe you do want to jump from one content box to the next if you want to jump into a niche. It really doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to do. That's just not something that I personally wanted to be interested in. So I just looked at different topics that I wanted to talk about, but have a bigger range and have a specific person in mind as opposed to a specific topic. And chances are, if you're considering doing this, you already know what niche that you want to go into next or what direction you want to take. And if you don't, it's okay. If you're like, I don't know where I want to go, but I know the next video that I want to create, then just create that next video or that next blog post or just that next piece of content in general. As long as you know what the one right next step is for yourself, that's all that matters. You just need to take one step in the right direction and then you can figure out the rest later. Like, you don't have to have your entire business model figured out by tomorrow. If you know that you are in the gardening niche and you want to start talking about fashion, then just put out a fashion video. But maybe you don't only want to be in the fashion niche, but you also want to talk about cooking or doing whatever. Just put out that next video, no matter what it is, because once you put out the first video, it's almost like when you change, I'm saying video because I do YouTube, but of course you could be blog post, it could be whatever. If you put out that next video or that next blog post, it's almost like starting your channel all over again. And you kind of get that fear of putting yourself out there because now you're sharing your authentic truth. And that's something that I really struggled with, was speaking from the heart and trusting myself and knowing that like it was going to be okay in the end. So if you know what you want to do, or maybe you don't, just take that first step and see how it feels, because you're allowed to change your business. Your business is allowed to evolve. Like, that is perfectly fine. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. You need to make sure that you run your business and your business doesn't run you, because I think that tends to happen a lot with social media, especially YouTube. We put ourselves in a niche because it's like, okay, well, this video did well, so now I have to do only videos on that topic. Or this blog post did well, so now because Pinterest picked up this thing and this blog post did well, now I need to only talk about that because that's all my viewers want to see. And that's not necessarily the case. You can have one-off videos and blog posts that do well, and then you can go do your own thing and maybe create content around that type of thing, because obviously we do want the views. That's how we get paid. We need the views, we need the subscribers, we need the watch hours, whatever. You can create a playlist on YouTube or a section on your blog with that type of content in it, but then also do other things. Like, you don't have to just specifically talk about one thing because it did well. And this might mean that you need to do a blog name change, a business name change, YouTube change, whatever. Because for me, I started out as Business Women Thrive, and I knew that I wanted to do a lifestyle niche years before I actually did it. I changed my blog name in 2020. It is now 2023. I did start to branch out on the blog, but on the YouTube channel, I stayed the same because I was worried about losing subscribers. I was worried about losing momentum. And so I understand if that's kind of where you're coming from, but maybe you need to make a blog name change or a business change. I changed from Business Women Thrive to Sarah Marie because it was my name. It was more of a lifestyle name, so I could talk about whatever it is that I wanted. If you're thinking about changing your niche, you're changing your name, start sooner rather than later. Rip off the band-aid and just start it, because it's gonna be better for you in the long run. And if you're still struggling on this decision, here's how I made that decision. The first thing to do is you just kind of have to stick to it, because I definitely didn't do that. Like I said, I changed my blog name all the way in 2020. 3 years later, I finally actually changed my content. So once you decide, just stick to it. Because what I used to do is I would launch a blog post, I would promote it around, and it wouldn't immediately pick up traction. And I would go, nope, can't do that. That didn't work. Take it down. And then a little while later, I would be like, okay, I want to branch out again. And I would post something and then it would do well, but then I would get frustrated and overwhelmed and go, no, I have to double down on my content as is, take that down. And I did that so many times that it's not even funny. The amount of blog posts that I deleted because I couldn't come up with a decision and just stick to it, and I was all over the place, and it was quite literally a disaster. So just stick to it. If you decide that you're going to switch, don't go back on your word and just switch. Because I did that and it took forever to get here. And now I have a long way to grow in a brand new niche, and I could have been a lot further had I started a couple years ago when I decided to. Because chances are you are going to be a lot happier that you change your niche instead of agonizing over it for years. Take it from someone who agonized over it for years. Next, you got to think about how different is your niche. How much of a change do you need to make because your niche is different from your old one? If you are going from a completely off the wall niche compared to where you were, maybe you need to start a new channel, or maybe you need to get rid of your old blog and start a new one. Or maybe you don't need to do that, but you need to just private your old videos so that they're not attracting the wrong audience, and then put up brand new videos and essentially start a brand new channel, because that's something that you can do as well. I know somebody that had success with that. They were in the hair care niche and they went to social commentary or political commentary, and they privated all their hair care videos and blew up in the social political commentary niche afterwards. So maybe that's something that you need to do. It really depends on how different your niche is, how different your audience is, and what you want to do. For me, I decided that I was just going to start putting out new content because it wasn't wildly different from my old content, and I'm still happy with that content, and I still plan to make that content moving forward. I'm just going to be broadening my niche a little bit, and I decided not to start a new channel because I had just gotten monetized a couple months prior to my niche change, and I decided I didn't want to do that all over again, so I just started posting new content. And that might be something that you do. I didn't see any significant difference in subscribers or loss of subscribers. My views are definitely way down from what they were on the new videos, but I'm not noticing anything in the overall because all of my old videos are still ranking and they're still getting views and they're still doing well. So I'm not even noticing a dip in revenue. My revenue is actually going up. I'm putting out shorts to try and hopefully attract some new subscribers and things like that. And I'm going to do a whole video on my income and what I've been making on YouTube since getting monetized and the niche change and all that. So we're going to talk about that in another video. But as of right now, even though my videos are not doing as great, it's expected that they're not doing as great because they're in a totally different niche. But overall on my channel, I haven't noticed any difference at all, which is good. And the next thing that you can do to make a decision whether you want to switch your niche or not is to make a pros and cons list. And this is something that I should have done a very long time ago because it was the deciding factor between whether I started a new channel or not, or whether I changed my niche or not. So I made a pros and cons list of pros for starting a new channel, cons for starting a new channel, pros for keeping the old channel, and cons for keeping the old channel. And I kid you not, there was only about 3 or 4 things on the majority of those lists for pros and cons. The pros list for keeping my channel and just switching the niche, there was 20 different reasons that was pro, keep the channel and switch your niche, versus only 3 to 4 for switching the niche and starting a new channel or anything like that, like the other options. And once I laid it out like that, it was a no-brainer that I just used the monetized channel that I already had built an audience up on and just switch my niche. So you can do this for should you switch your niche or not, or should you start a new blog? Should you start a new YouTube channel? Like you can use the pros and cons list for a couple different things. And I found it to be insanely helpful. And like I said, was the deciding factor whether I change my niche or not. This is something that you want to put a lot of thought in because it is kind of a big deal, but it isn't something that you want to agonize over and over and over and over, because once you look at things critically, make a decision and move on with it. Trust me, like if you come away from anything with this podcast, make a decision and move on with it. And then once you do that, you need to come up with a plan for switching your content. Do you need to rebrand? Do you need to let your audience know? Do you need to private your videos? Like what do you need to do in order to switch your niche? What are the steps that you need to take? You might not really need to do much. You might just say, hey, I'm switching my niche and you need to switch your niche. Or if you're doing it on your blog, you might just need to switch the categories on your blog, maybe update your about page a little bit, update your socials if you need to, different things like that. Just small little things if it's not anything crazy or drastic, but come up with just a list of things that you need to do if you're going to be switching your niche. And then do you want to slowly transition your content, or do you want to just come out the gate with totally brand new content? If your niches aren't super different, maybe you can just slowly start to transition new content in and phase old content out. But if it's wildly different, you might just need to just start posting videos or start posting blog posts and hope for the best. This is all going to depend on you and your decisions and what content you are creating versus what content you want to start creating in the future. And I know this is all going to be very hard, but the bottom line is your happiness matters more than anything. If you look at all of this and you hear all of this and you decide at the end, like, yes, I'm still considering switching my niche, then just do it. It is going to be so much better in the long run. And I promise you're going to be happier, and it's going to be tough, and your views are going to probably go down, and your income might even go down. You might lose subscribers, you might lose viewers, followers, but at the end of the day, you're going to be able to gain those followers back. You're going to find people who are way more aligned with your content, who are in love with you and everything you have to say, and it's going to be a lot better. So I think that's all that I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. If you have any questions or you maybe need help making a decision, let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to talk with you and give you guys some advice if need be. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.